Is this thing are there people on the other side of this? Do you think there's live people, Christopher?
Yes. Welcome in, everybody.
Like real people?
Real people.
Are there real people on the other side of these cameras?
Real cool people.
What? Oh, wait a
Real
minute.
Cool people. And then Jen, welcome in.
That's taking it a little too far. Rattlecan, what's going on? T. Schmidt, what's going on? Mo, Ginkgo, Hoosiers, Cannibalistic, what's going on, everybody? Hello. It is not paint eating time, Jim Crimmins. Do not eat the paint. No. Thou shalt not eat the paint.
Thou shalt not eat the paint.
Thou shalt not eateth the paint.
Welcome in, everybody.
Rule number 2 on the tablets.
Oh, Nicholas, resub for 77 months?
77?
What?
Is that a Nick Pie?
77. That's a long time.
77.
That's way too long to like us.
That's a long time.
That's only insane people have liked us for that long. I haven't even been alive for like 77. I'm only 54.
Yeah.
So that's how that works, right? Kenneth, what's going on? Hello, everybody.
Welcome in, everybody.
Swifter Bear, welcome to the frozen tundra. It's super cold in Arizona. Like, we have to wear jackets.
I have 2 layers on today.
Mo sub for 100, and all you got were crickets.
Well, no, you didn't.
So
no, I did. Yeah, we mentioned that yesterday.
Mo.
Yeah.
The alerts are on all sorts of wackiness.
Yeah.
Mo, I said something. Yes, I said it.
Yeah, see, we say something and all we get is crickets.
I'm pretty sure. No,
he's lying. I was going to go back and watch the VOD and be like,
call me out.
liars.
Double check
you
it.
didn't say anything.
I fixed all of the notifications so that I can actually see them and recall them out for us, too, so beautifully.
You didn't say anything. I watched.
I don't believe.
Give me a zoom, Christopher. Make it happen.
Bing.
See how fast that was? See how fast he was?
Yes.
Christopher was quick on the draw, baby.
Still tweaking, always tweaking, but
Frost,
we're
what's
very
going
close.
On? Welcome, everybody. Welcome to whatever the heck the day is.
Today's Friday.
Friday. I should know that because it's like a day where then you don't have to work on the next day. But I have not had any time today to remember what day it is. Lies and blasphemy. I mean, did you expect anything else, Mo? Where are you? Look around. Read the room.
Flapjack Nickelsack just resubbed for 4 months.
What?
Check that out.
Flapsack Nickeljack. Never heard of him.
Flap nickel. I don't know what you're. Oh no, flap. Oh, that doesn't come out right yet.
Flap.
Oh, flap. Come on, man. Sorry, everybody.
Chris, if you can't stop tweaking, I'm sure there's rehabs in AZ. That's what I keep telling him.
I
think they have the fanciest ones.
That's what I keep telling him. I try to keep telling Christopher.
I'm at my pinnacle.
That if he can't stop tweaking on the stream stuff, that we're going to put him in rehab. An intervention is in his future.
Hey, Brutal Burrito said I tried the eyes trick you taught before Christmas. Resulted in the best eyes I've painted yet. There you go.
This is my best Rocky pose.
That's great.
Da-da-da, da-da-da.
That's
I need
great.
Gabe's knit cap though.
Gabe.
Oh yeah.
Because Gabe's kind of keeps making fun of him because he's too busy acting like Rocky.
A sweatsuit.
Yeah, he's got his. He needs a tracksuit and his Rocky hat. That it literally is, right? It's life changing. When I learned that, I was like 12 years old, and that was a Shepherd Payne trick, and it was just like, duh. Doing eyes before you do everything else so that you can do them sloppy and not have to worry about it. And then all your detail work makes the eyes look better. And it's like, yes! Oh. It really is. It's such a great way to do things. And it's so easy to try to force yourself into that hole of painting the eye on the face after the face is all nice and being like, up on one foot, trying to balance and get that little dot where it goes. It's hard. It's hard and it's not fun. It makes me feel bad. All right.
We're back with the black armor.
Oh my God, Payne's Gray. My love. Where have you been all my life?
So what are we picking up?
Payne's Gray.
What are we picking up today?
What I'm throwing down?
That's. I'm glad you said that.
Are you picking up what I'm throwing down?
Swifter Bear needs some advice. Said I tried the 3 bands underpainting trick with pale skin, and it just looked super chalky.
Too thin with the skin color, and don't start glazing a bright color skin over those underpaints. Do something like advanced flesh tone, and then work into the advanced flesh tone another color that makes it pale, like bright warm gray, any of the ivories, something like that. Start with a darker flesh tone to start hiding those underpainted layers first, and then pale that out. Don't start with a pale color over the top, because the pale colors aren't going, in order to hide the colors, you've got to put too much of the bright color on there. And like we talked about, you have to play with that thinness and the contrast, and it can look like cloudy and nasty. So yeah, try to start with a darker color skin, even if you're trying for pale colors. Like you see, this is just advanced flesh tone and nothing else. But I could go back over the top of this with advanced flesh tone mixed with a pale color and start making the skin pale. But now I have the feel of skin already. The idea is to get it to feel like flesh, and then alter the flesh to be what you want. Greenish, grayish if you want dead, pale if you want pale, cold, living in a cavern. Use the pinker fleshes, so you get to make the choice, but the base layer is kind of the same for everything.
Also, that video will be coming out very soon. So if you guys were tuning in on Monday, which seems like an eternity ago.
It is imminent.
He did the face of this, and you can even check out the VOD. He did the workup for the face, which we are condensing into about a 21-minute video. So, and
21?
Just about. I'm giving you guys the real...
Inconceivable.
The real behind-the-scenes action here now. So, yes, that will be coming out.
Will they see my rear end?
Yes, but that's only for the subs.
That far behind?
That's only for the exclusive
That's our Only
YouTube
Hands page.
members. Only hands.
Mo wants to know if the new washes are part of the new 24, or are they a bonus?
They are part of the new 24, my friend.
And Swifter Bear said it's time to restart again. Don't have advanced flesh tone, but have olive flesh and a variety of other brands. But olive flesh would be too light, right?
Olive flesh is too light. You would add that in. You don't have to use advanced flesh tone. You use shadow flesh. Do you have shadow flesh? It came in the same thing with olive flesh.
Yeah.
So shadow flesh would be a great way to start. Before we came out with advanced flesh tone, I used shadow flesh to start with all of the colors like that. So it's a perfect color. And then start mixing the olive flesh into the shadow flesh, and you're golden.
General Ginkgo said I did 50-50 tan flesh and olive flesh, and it worked great for my purpose. I was doing vampire skin, though.
Yeah. Also a great combo.
So, Jason, what are you doing right now on this?
I'm going back, and I'm kind of spreading this brightness here. It's a little too needle thin on this shine, so I want to bulk it out like this one is a little bit. So just more white, blue, and Payne's gray, and glazing, as we've been talking about, pulling that bright color down into my bright spot where my shine is, and just keep working it until I'm happy with how bright it is.
Pig Tofu has a good clarifying question, I think. So jumping too quickly into a bright highlight color over a dark one generally creates a chalky look.
Yes, because the contrast, all of your paints as you thin them, if you, in yesterday's stream we talked about this for a long time, it causes the pigment to float around in that thin base and can get kind of inconsistent and cloudy or chalky, right? And so to avoid that, you want to start with a little bit darker color so that as you get to your brightest color, if you're glazing especially, that you're not having to put on a lot of layers. Your bright color should only take like 1, 2, maybe 3 layers tops. If you were going to underpaint for flesh and then put a bright color, like a pale color skin over the top of your darker colors, you're going to have to put so much of that pale color on to hide the purple, red, and bright yellow, green so they don't look like alien clown suit kind of colors. And then by the time you've done enough layers of your thin, bright color, it starts to build up that chalky kind of pigment in random places. So start with a darker version. One of the things I mentioned the other day is when you're glazing, always start with a darker color than you want to see on the model, because you'll be amazed as you glaze how much lighter the color you're glazing looks visually than it is in the bottle, right? Take, for instance, the flesh color that I'm using here, right? The advanced flesh tone on him is much brighter color, right, the way it looks, than what it is in the bottle necessarily. And that's because it's inheriting the brightness and darkness of the colors underneath it. So in typical situations, you want to go with a darker color. So I would rarely glaze with olive flesh. I would take, even though it was the color I wanted the skin to look in the end, I would mix it with shadow flesh, get a color that's in between those two that's going to glaze easier, use that, and see how bright it looks at the end. And then without glazing, go back with the olive flesh at the end and do your final highlights. My final highlights on the face won't really be glazed. I might do them fairly thin, but I won't glaze them the same way I did with this, because they will be actual, like, pinpointing the color of the brow, the shine on the top of the nose. So it'll be more like just standard layer painting when I get to that point.
Paint Liquor wants to know if you would do the same underpainting colors for non-human skin, like a green gobble.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, then you get to ask yourself the question, like, what color would the goblin's blood be? If I cut him open, what color would he bleed? Right? And if you can answer that question and it's red blood, then yeah, use the same colors. If maybe he's got like blue blood or something like that, then maybe you shift to like a dark blue and stay away from the reds and purples. You're trying to recreate the color of the inside, the guts, with the underpainted colors. The color of the fatty tissue, I always love thinking in terms of yellow greens for that. Makes sense to me in my brain.
Michael paints minis, nice 7 streak.
Again, I'm probably focused a little too much on what I'm doing right now because I'm going to put the black wash on the top of this today, but I just want some of this brightness to survive and not become pinpoint lines. So spreading out the higher value areas will help with that. But overall, I'm very happy with the way the armor is looking right now. I think we'll go with that.
So essentially, the next step would be what?
The wash.
The wash?
Yeah, we'll be doing the wash next. I started doing some secondary reflections down here. Whenever you have a cylinder, you'll get your main shine spot along the cylinder, which we've chosen here. And then as the elbow goes, it switches to here and then back here, right? And what happens is you get a secondary reflection or glow off of, like, a lot of people like to call it the bounce light. Like, imagine this same light that's hitting the armor from the top is also hitting the ground below. And so you get a reflection that comes up from the ground back onto shiny surfaces. And it'll be a lot less intense, right? But that's what this represents. And you might get a shine on this side from the armor, right? The light reflecting off the armor back into the arm. And so I create some shine back here as well. So you're always trying to think when doing reflective surface painting like non-metallic metal, what things are creating light in the model, not just the light source being the sun and such. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because you have all sorts of things in the environment that can create light. If you're near a water source, right, that's going to create a reflective light source. Concrete. Have you ever tried, you walk outside on a hot summer day and all the things that radiate light and make it too bright so you got to wear your shades? It's not always just the sun you're shading your eyes from. It's the reflection of the concrete on the highway can be too bright, right, when you're driving.
I have a really hard time with that.
Right? So all of that has to be taken into account when you're creating your shine on a model, because those things will be true for the fake fantasy world that we're painting as well.
Cordell and Browntown Games, hello. Happy
Welcome
Friday.
in. Swift Town Bear. Also, I did a test of dry brushing for my challenge piece and found using metallic medium brightens color. Is that normal?
Yeah. It's a little bit of a milky white medium, so it will brighten the color of hair. Not a ton, but the metal flake in it is like a white metal. Think of it like a platinum flake. So yeah, it'll cause the color that you mix it into to brighten a little bit.
Caped Beardy would like to know if there will be any new metallics in the batch released at Adepticon.
There is
secret.
one.
So pumped for the new paints.
There is one. and it is a mid-tone silver that everybody has been wanting for so long. Something but falls right between dark silver and silver. It's a great color.
If you guys have questions, be sure to tag at Monument Hobbies so that we see them. If you guys are just tuning in, we're going to be working on this black armor on the Tiger L. Anthony.
Antonio El Tigre. All right. Armor. Let's do some washing.
Nice. I'm looking forward to this workup.
I'm not. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just making it up as I go.
Oh, there's a lot of
My
pressure.
sincerest apologies to everyone out in TV land. If you think I know what I'm doing and are trusting me and using these things that I am teaching in your own painting, good luck.
Oh no.
Hey, actually, can I do a test really quick? Keep that stair right there. I just want to see how far I can push it on the stair. We're having fun here. Oh, I don't want to change that up, but I can push him for you, Kapar. That's fun.
Good luck.
Are we bringing back the awkward man stare?
We should bring back the awkward man stare. I think it's the right
turn?
time in our journey as
I need to
Monument
make a
Hobbies.
macro. I'm gonna
Yeah.
make a macro for like 500% on
The
your
man
eyeballs.
stare came from the Slow Fuse gaming days.
That's great.
We should bring it back. It should be one of those
I
where
mean, we've got the emotes still.
we just kind of do the.
That's
There it is, Mo. Mo
That's
knows
blue
the awkward
steel.
man stare.
it's blue.
Someone
steel.
get this man a banana.
Oh my gosh. All right, black wash.
Yeah, dark silver with silver is fantastic, and this color is Lazy Man's version of that, so you don't have to do it anymore. It's perfect. It's like almost like we heard everybody's problems with, like, I just want a color in the middle. All right, so I'm going to get some black wash, Pazal, this one, and then I'm going to wish I knew where all the new colors were, Christopher.
What are you looking for? What are you looking for?
The numbered bottles. Do we know where they are?
The numbered bottles?
Yeah, all the numbered bottles. Gabe.
There's some on your desk.
Yeah, aren't they?
Those are the new ones.
Oh, okay.
There was a whole rash of them right to the right.
Oh, are you talking about the new
The new
bottles?
ones, yes.
The new.
All right, cool.
The
Yeah.
new news.
Sorry, that was such
The colors that people aren't supposed to see that don't exist on my desk anymore.
Oh, not the ones I just swapped out.
No,
Okay.
the colors that shall not be named. The new.
Vexing Workshop, hello. Yep.
The ones
We
that people
got
get mad at me for using.
Studio makeover for the new year here.
Because in the 24 colors coming at Adepticon, we have, a Payne's Gray Wash. What?
What?
Why would we do such a thing? Because it's cool.
Why wouldn't we?
Because it's cool.
So you're gonna use paints that people can't use.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna show off some things that people can't use.
He
because,
does that.
All of them.
Oh, this is so fantastic. We have things that are so glorious in here. The brown gray wash that's going to be coming out. We call that concrete wash. That's going to be fantastic. Right?
New. What happened to previous new? You guys have seen previous new.
There's that mid-tone silver.
Oh.
Uh,
Jade. Hello. Happy Friday. Did
Oh,
you guys
look,
get
a
your
Payne's Gray
bike
wash. Who
situation
knew?
sorted?
That's what I needed.
Who is
I'm
Payne
gonna
and
zoom
why
out
is
a
it his
little bit.
gray?
Are you sure? Oh no, you're not. I thought you were pulling all of them out.
No,
Okay,
just
never
the
mind.
ones I'm using.
Okay.
Philip, that's a good question.
What's that?
Who's
Who
Payne?
is Payne and why is it
he
his gray?
Oh.
Well, it's a long story. I was there at that time. We were sitting along the wharf one night and complaining about how the world lacked a little bit of color, and that, the dark, overcast days in that time in Western Europe, it was very dull. It just brought the soul down. And as artists, as a collective, we were sitting around wondering how we could elevate that. But the king would not let us use bright, vibrant colors because he didn't want to have the people inspired to greatness. He wanted to keep the man down, and we would be beheaded. So if we were to do otherwise. And so at the time, we all conspired. It was a conspiracy to up the man, and we added a little blue to our gray. Shh, don't tell anybody, right? Don't tell anybody. But a little bit of anarchy sunk in to art that day, and we're all better for it. And we blamed pain so that we would not be beheaded. So there you go. That's the story.
Philip said, was it 1832? How was the Gilded Age? Juan Tomato said Jason seems that old. And Mo said, wasn't that made back in like the 1600s?
I mean, I was there.
Yeah.
Sorry if you guys just saw that. I had
In a
little
different life?
technical difficulty.
No, same one.
Same life? You're a vampire?
Same one. No,
Just that old.
I'm just a perpetual.
All right.
Right, I'm going to start recording. I want to see this on your palette. I've never seen this. Okay, I'm going to zoom in.
Zoom in? What? All right, so my goal here is to create a wash from our products just because we have a fantastic black wash that can be used as a filter. The thing with washes in general is that they are just like glazing, except the chemical component in the paint allows the wash to flow easier over the surface of the model so that you can kind of put it on in large amounts, and the pigment itself kind of goes to the low spots. We'll fill in shade areas, panel lines in between, armor plates and things of that nature. We won't be using it for its wash quality. We're simply using the black wash for its color, black, and the fact that its opacity is already where I need it, so that I will be able to allow the bluishness of the armor we've created to show through to give the undertone of black, and let this bring black back into being the actual color of the armor. Make sense? Now, in order to make sure that it's not graying out our color too much, I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to use a little bit of the Payne's Gray wash that'll be coming out at Adepticon. You could also add just a touch of Payne's Gray paint to here. If you do that, you would want to add like literally 1 drop of Payne's Gray to what you're going to see me add for black wash. Since I have the Payne's Gray wash that's already thinned down, you'll see me add more. So do some black wash, about that much, because we're highly scientific here. So that was about 6 drops, 8 drops, 10 drops, I don't know.
About 5 scotias.
So it's a little bit more than a skidoosh. And then we're going to take some of the Payne's Gray, and we'll do, I don't know, about 1/3 as much, maybe. And I will mix this and test it before I put it on the model, because the goal here is to always verify your findings before going and messing up something. Because when glazing and filtering, you've already done a lot of work painting, so don't just throw it on the model before you know what it's going to do. Okay, so to that, I'm going to add some water. We keep these eye wash bottles around, and I'm just going to put a little squirt of water in there and then mix that up. When mixing paint, it's always better to use the butt end of the brush than the filament end. There's no need to use the brush end of the brush. Use the stick end of the brush. Does a better job of mixing, doesn't waste any paint. Doesn't get paint in the ferrule. Doesn't cause you problems. Life is good.
I can't wait to see this on your palette.
Then I'm going to go wipe the... It's never going to go on my palette.
Oh,
I'm going to take it right out of the cup. You
that was kind of an
heathen!
That was kind of an unintentional. I hope it goes in the palette for a little bit.
You heathen!
Papa Chicken, no noosh.
You
Right, this is just-
heathen!
Black and Payne's Gray.
I'm happy with that. That's a good color. That's a good color.
And there's no noosh in that, right?
What's that? No noosh. No noosh, no glaze wash
No
medium.
noosh.
These are already both washes, so it's almost like they have the glaze wash medium in them. Just a little bit of water to make them flow better, and I'm going to be using them as a glaze, showing you how you can use what are called washes in other ways to get filtering done. So we'll set that aside, and we'll just go for it. Pow. Just going to go crazy here, chat.
Paint liquor, he doesn't do that.
Just like with any other thing that I'm doing that's very thin, I'm going to take quite a bit of it off on my thumb palette and then go over to the model and start layering this on. I'm just going to cover the whole area. I want to make sure I get everything, starting in the shadows from where we had our purple and working back up towards the highlights.
Can you center up a little for me? Perfect.
What brush are you using?
I'm using a number 6 Pro Synthetic. It's one of the old tester brushes.
Okay, the handle looks different.
Right, so again, over the entire thing, highlights and all. This is why I wanted to test it on my hand, make sure the opacity was where I like it, because you can see how you could very easily, immediately alter your entire model in a very bad way. You want to keep moving when you do techniques like this, glazing over entire areas. You want to make sure you get the paint on an entire surface. So if I were to do this part of the elbow, let's say, come down here, do the bottom, right? Come up here and leave my brush strokes kind of like this up on the top to where it didn't finish the area. I just kind of came up here and then go paint somewhere else. The problem is I could get a line that dries across there and makes that really hard and visible. So I want to make sure I come back with another layer before all that dries and finish this portion of the elbow before I move on to anything else. Make sense?
Jason, when are the heavy bodies coming out? Somebody's asking.
I'm hoping that we will see them before the end of Q1. And in my hoping, I would want a release before Adepticon, but we'll see. I can't guarantee that.
There was another question, I want to say maybe it was from Mo, asking about the new Adepticon release colors and when people can get them if they're not going to Adepticon.
If you're not attending the show, my hope is that we release within 2 weeks after the show, if not at the show itself. That is a production question. We've asked production to come back to us and let us know, but before we have all the raw materials ready to go, I won't be able to give you an answer. It'll be, probably mid next month before we can really tell you 100%.
What's part you're gonna do? You're gonna do that part?
The chest.
I might zoom in again. Yeah, I'm gonna zoom in real tight on that. I really want to see that part.
Okay. I'm just loading the brush up because I have a big area to paint here. I'm just
no,
bringing all of that
better.
up to the top.
Yep. There we go. Nice.
You can see it. You can see more from wetness where I've painted than in tint of the color because the color is so thin, right? But
That's
it is
crazy.
slowly darkening all that up. You can see the difference between the highlight on the arm and the highlight on the shoulder plate. See how much brighter that is? And this is starting to now tend back towards a gray because of the addition of the black.
Like, how is that not metal? That is insane.
It's non-metallic metal.
I know. It's crazy. It looks like metal.
It can work wonders. So this is now round 2.
Nice.
We'll start seeing the armor really start trending towards a dark grayish black with that blue undertone, which is where we will call it a win.
Derp6 asking if you're going to add anything more to the face.
Yeah. Well, we'll highlight it more.
What colors?
I haven't figured that out yet. I will probably add bright shadow flesh to advanced flesh tone and work up from there. The bright shadow flesh is a great color. We could have called it bright advanced flesh tone, but it was too much of a mouthful. But that's kind of what it is. Those colors go very, very well together. Again, making sure that I get this whole area dialed in at once. Big, long brush strokes, so I'm not adding in any texture there.
Caped Beardy is wondering about the colors underneath the wash. Was it just Payne's Gray and White Blue mixes?
That's it. 100% Payne's Gray, White Blue.
Yep, and you can see those on the VODs the last 2 days. You can see the entire workup on that. We'll have a workup for Black Armor coming out soon as well. Two nice section pieces on this are definitely the face and then having a nice recap of our VOD for the Black Armor workup.
Yep. So now I'm starting to look dry around the arm, so I'm going to go back over the arm with more color. Right? So again, same thing. I'm going to just start here so we get the impact of going over the highlight on the cylinder of the arm with the wash, and you'll see how pass number 2 has a huge effect.
It's nice
because the pass number 1 already had quite a bit of color on there, but look at how much more dingy black gray that made that look compared to the section next to it here, right?
Yeah, and then it'll just dry so nicely. I love our black wash and how it dries.
It's super clean. It doesn't get splotchy.
Yes, that's a good way to describe it. It does not. It is a clean dry. When you see it actually start drying, it's great. Is that the right term I just used? Clean, dry? I don't know what else to put there.
I'm going with it. I'm gonna
Clean,
let
dry,
it, I'm gonna let
everybody.
it go.
If you guys are just tuning in, we are working up the black armor from the last couple days. If you guys have any questions, tag Monument Hobbies and we'll get to them.
For a lot of people, this is probably the most scary thing you'll do as you learn your painting along your painting journey. Is paint the thing, fall in love with it, have it look really good, and then put a filter over the top.
Jordan did that with when we were doing the transparent video, that leather workup.
Yep.
With the transparent brown. I'm like, okay, what's gonna happen here? And it's magic.
Yep.
It works.
Right. But look at how different the armor looks now.
Mm-hmm. Now, would you apply the same technical technique to this? Technical technique, you guys like that?
Yeah.
As the face, like if you wanted to go darker, you'd add a little bit more as you go, like another layer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Depending on how dark you want it to be.
Well, yeah, like when we were glazing the skin tone over the underpainting for the face, we had to do the same thing. We had to do a couple of layers of advanced flesh tone in order to get the advanced flesh tone color to show. It wasn't necessarily to darken it up. Think in terms of color. What we're doing here is we're wanting more of the black to show. Black just happens to be a much darker color, so we're getting the combo of darkening the armor, but it's really through making the armor more black by having the more black pigment on it, right? And that's exactly what we do when we were glazing the face. We'd have to put another layer I could put another layer of advanced flesh tone on, and it would continue to look more like advanced flesh tone right out of the bottle. It would lose some of the yellowishness from the bright yellow green, some of the red from the red, some of the purple from the purple. So you have to be careful and know when to start looking at it, and like we've done, get to that 50% point and back away and go paint something else on the model, because now we've had a couple of days to be looking at the face, looking at the brightness of the armor, and going back and forth and saying, okay, yeah, I probably do need to brighten up the face. But look at what's happening to the armor as I put the black wash on it, and it's starting to dull the armor back down. Now the face and the hair have become brighter, right? So it would be awesome if we could do a time warp and go back 10 minutes ago before I started putting the black wash on to see how much darker the face looked versus the armor, because the punch of the armor shine was much brighter before we put the wash on it. And then boom, now the skin's coming back into focus. So again, had I made a decision yesterday to start re-highlighting the skin, I would have been wrong, right? I got to go back through on these parts of the model that I know are going to be brighter. I won't do anything else to the skin until I'm done with the non-metallic gold. All of the shoulder, the gorget, and the trim on the other shoulder plate, and probably the hilt of the sword. When I get the non-metallic gold done, then I'll choose how much brighter the skin needs to be, because I will have painted the brightest points of the model. The parts that have the most shine and reflection, those will be the brightest. Then I tune everything on the model to those.
Derpstick has a question. Would transparent black over silver make for a good black metal, or would satin black be better?
No, it could do very, very well. You are always going to want to layer it up, but yeah, we've done that quite a bit. You can mix it in too, which is, in my opinion, better, unless you're just, super, super confident in your glazing. Remember that you can just simply take the transparent black and mix it in with your metallic color and get the color of metallic you like. Like with silver is fantastic. Transparent black into dark silver is amazeballs.
Bud, who was your sound check today?
Celine Dion.
Probably not.
Bud and Celine go
I
way
don't think
back.
she's touring.
Oh, is she touring? Well, she's touring to Bud's place.
Oh, just an exclusive show.
Yeah. Yep. All right, back on to layer number dos on the chest piece here.
Martin Sexton. I don't know if I know. I don't know if I know who that is. Let me Google.
I probably want one more pass on the arm, but I'm only going to do the lower portion here. Just kind of streak it up onto the arm. This is my amazing smudge device called my finger.
Oh, Heisentoad, I don't think I ever got your address. Did you send it to us to support? We did wait until after the holidays so that things didn't get like stuck or hung up. But yours was one that I don't think I had an app. Oh, you did it on Twitch. Okay. I'll see if we can find that.
Kelly Fella saying, I've been watching your stream over the past few weeks and learned some new things. Can they be applied to historical military?
Believe it or not, most of what I show you on here is stemming from my work as a historic military scale model diorama builder. A lot of what I've learned are tools that I learned doing that and then just brought over to miniature painting. So 100%, yes. Sometimes you'll see us doing things with way more vibrancy than you would ever do in military scale modeling. There's not as much brightness in that world. But so that just may mean that in certain cases you're desaturating your colors more, or you know, starting from a more desaturated color base, but no reason you can't do all of what you see me doing for the same thing. I would use these same techniques for doing like tracks on tanks, you know, any kind of blue metal gun barrel or anything like that. All right, so you can see how now we've knocked our shine way down. I'm actually going to knock these down on the top of the arm just a hair more. Now you can start see how that is believable as a more black armor. Not black painted, but like a dark steel. Let that set up for a little bit, because I do want to do the highlights back on it to show you what the punch of the highlight is going to do. Now, you have a choice when doing the black like this, trying to give the feel of like a gunmetal armor or something of that nature. Do I go back with white blue that has a hint of cool tone to it? Or do I go to like bright neutral gray, which does not have that cool tone? Both are available to you. I'm going to go back with white blue because I like the bluish nature of what we've created. But understand you could go to a neutral gray here too. And then we'll finish out with white. But you don't want to go white directly over the top of this. It might be a little bit too much. So we'll just go back to white blue.
Tax Frost is asking if you would varnish after some steps.
I don't ever do that. The only time that I find myself varnishing after steps is if I use a paint that one of our paints that's more satiny or gloss. I might matte varnish a little bit to knock it down so I can see my highlights. Or varnishing a gloss over the top for things that I want to seem wet, and generally that's at the end of the model. Like if I wanted a wet effect on a bead of sweat or a tear or something like that to really pull it off the page, or like a water effect on the base. I don't typically find myself varnishing too much between layers. Our paint is very sturdy, so I don't think we have to. But there's nothing that would preclude you from doing so if it made you feel safer. If before you put on a wash, you put a gloss varnish so the wash was more easy to slide around on the model, that's perfectly fine.
Impending Duff with the resub for 42 months. He's been sub for
Duff.
67 months. Nice.
Come on, Duff.
Hello.
Duff's been around a lot longer than that. He's just shy.
Duff might remember the awkward man stare.
Yes.
He just, yeah, he used it in chat. There it is. Nice.
There you go. Back to the white blue. This time I'm going to start off just sticking directly to the edges of the armor.
You said you're back to the white blue?
Back to white blue, yep. Just pure white blue. Very, very little thinning, if any, on this, because I want a lot of punch from this color as we put it on, right? See how that shine? But notice how the white blue, the pure white blue, can you zoom in one more step?
Yeah, you ready?
Yeah. Whoa. Bang. So notice how this pure white blue I'm putting on blends into the previous white blue that was on this edge that went for longer, that now has become a darker color because of the wash. So that gives me a blended highlight. Watch how as I go through here, my goal is for each of these little spots to not trace over all the previous color. I just want to put a little bit on here. I've talked so long, my paint is dry.
Hey, who was the artist you mentioned earlier about that you learned the eye trick?
Shepard Payne.
Okay. The smelly fella just is asking if you were ever a fan of Shepard Payne or Francois Verlinden back in the day.
I never got to meet Francois. I got to take a class with Shep. And yes, Shepard is probably my biggest hero in the modeling and painting space. He's a god of miniature painting, even though most people in the miniature space may not know who he is. He is the reason so many things we do in the miniature hobby even exist. Probably one of the most profound diorama storytellers in the history of man. Just a fantastic individual. He's from Chicago, I believe.
Is he still with us?
No, he passed away. And they think in the 90s.
Oh, smelly fella said I took his class too.
Verlinden was also another tremendous name in our scale model world, generally like 1/35th scale models. And he made some of the first like resin and brass pieces that would customize the models that you were buying from like Tamiya, everyone pronounce it, to make the model more realistic. At first I was like, what are you talking about? As a kid building these models, you're like, wait, there's things that make them more intricate. I was like, these models take forever. I was a kid with zero patience trying to build.
Do you know if he ever made any videos?
What's that?
Do you know if he ever made any videos?
Who?
Shepard Payne.
He was gone before the world of the video became a thing. There may have been something that you could get like on VHS tape that would have something from him, but no, he was not.
Smelly fella saying he passed away in 2017.
Oh, really? That recently? I thought he was gone in the 90s.
Unless he's talking about the other guy.
But you should get the How to Build Dioramas book from Shepard Payne. It's the one that I showed you, babe, that I've had since I went to his class.
Yep.
I was just about to say, I'm sure he's got some pretty cool books out there.
Couple.
And you had your name written on it.
Yeah, it's not written
like
in one of those little
10-year-old
stamping machine that made the little hard plastic, embossed stamps. Came on the little clicky. You turn the dial to J and then pull the trigger and it would punch.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then,
I have one of those. I
Yeah.
like that thing.
Yeah, so that's what my name was stamped out on.
Okay.
And
It wasn't in your kid handwriting. Okay.
What was your favorite jet piece?
oh my gosh, the one that made me always the most amazing was a piece I didn't appreciate for its content, its storytelling content, because I didn't care. But that was such an amazing shadow box. It was of the lower gun deck of, I think, a frigate, HMS Victory or something like that. It was the gun deck on a sail ship.
Same one that Smelly Fella said.
Oh, yeah,
What?
Yeah.
He said it's the same one. Mine
Oh, really?
was the gun deck of the HMS Victory.
Oh, there you go.
Shadow box diorama.
There you go. It's the
That's
best
so funny.
diorama ever made by mankind, period. Bar none. The absolute best. Great minds think alike, Smelly. It is so amazing. It's got like the gun ports. It's got the lighting he used old before there were LEDs. He used the old pin lights to light up the musket charge and the firing pins going off, firing the cannons.
Aw.
It's amazing as you look back. And his paintwork is amazing. The weight to the scene is amazing. None of that existed as models. That's all like converted models.
Wow.
That's how I learned to like cut the back of a knee because all the models were standing up. So if you wanted them moving or in motion,
Okay.
yeah, there you go.
Just gonna look it up.
That's it right there.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my.
Yeah, loading the cannon shells onto the deck. Go to that second one over there. That's one of the. Yep, there you
Oh
go.
my goodness.
What?
Yeah,
What?
yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah. He's insane, and you have to think that this is like the '80s, '70s, '80s.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's insane. It's
That's
insane.
crazy.
Like it literally is insane the kind of work and effort he was able to put into everything that he did and the fun he had doing it and telling others about it, which was amazing to me.
Can you put the link up to a
let
picture or something for them?
Yeah.
Christopher just
Sorry.
Googled.
I just Googled HMS Victory Champagne. It's like the first thing that will come up.
Jeez, Philip.
Hey, Philip. Attack. You know what? Philip ruined it for
The
everybody.
harshest critic.
But his he did an Enola Gay that was amazing. He did one that was I think a B-17 downed in the desert that was amazing. He's done some amazing airplane, tanks, you name it.
Yeah, he's got some really cool pieces.
You are starting if you do not know Shepard Payne, you are going down a rabbit hole that will forever change your view of model making.
Google this, chat.
Now, there are some amazing people who have come since who are better model builders, better sculptors, you could argue, but there will never be another person with such an impact.
Philip said, I can only stop in for a few minutes at a time. Stream needs to be perfect in those minutes.
That's right.
Phil, I'm with you.
High standards.
I'm with you, Phil.
High standards.
Does it meet the Phil standard?
Yeah, those are pretty cool pieces.
I think dioramas are just so cool.
I love.
Yeah,
that.
when they actually tell a story and aren't just a
Yeah.
model sitting on a thing with
Yeah.
some trees.
Like we went to that one show, the
IPMS.
the Plastic Models Society or something like that. Those dioramas were really cool. And it
Yeah,
makes me
and
think
I'm
of,
a
like,
huge shadow
dollhouses.
box fan. The ones where you can lean
Yes, where
down
you
and
look
look
in.
into another
Yeah.
world that just feels like it pulls you in
That was-
because there's
that
stuff
was
going on.
really
Those are
neat.
amazing.
But it's like dollhouses too. I get
Yeah.
fascinated by dollhouses and think, I would love to like. I think that's just
There's
so
some
cool.
people that treat that like we do.
Yes.
Like it's like whole vignettes of like
Yes.
voyeurism in
It's
this dollhouse. It's
amazing.
crazy. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's very similar. So.
My dad was into model trains and got me into it when I was younger. I do like model trains, dioramas and such.
Game delay. Game delay said to Phil, when you stop in, the stream is perfect.
Game delay, I'm going to need you to tone it down. We don't need Phil to get a big head.
There's an old train park off of Lincoln and Scottsdale
Yes.
that they redid. I went there for a long time as a kid.
Yeah.
And I went there like a couple years ago with like a bunch of family members for fun. And they have this whole building now that is just an entire train diorama set.
Mhm.
It's a huge building. And it is so cool to watch.
It's a neat park. We went there.
Yeah.
I mean, they do concerts and stuff there too.
Yeah, they do. It's very cool. Diorama, like train diorama, is really fun.
So I am just sneaking shine into the previous shine. If you want to zoom in again, give me that severe punch, and I'll show what I'm doing on the cuff here. But you can see how you need to sneak that shine in, right? I have this shape. It's like a T. right?
Yeah.
Where I have a little bit of highlight going along the circumference of the cylinder here, and then I have this rectangle of shine coming down. So what I'm doing is I'm putting what I call a tornado shape inside that. I'm pulling a little line of brightness, using some stippling to tailor it off, and then starting with longer lines and then shortening them up, and then just dots. So it has this kind of, you know, tornado shape that sits inside that T, and that gives you your final highlight. You're just looking for a punch of contrast in there. You don't want to make this too big, otherwise you got to start over and do your wash again, because this too much of this bright color will move the model back towards being brighter than you want. Right? So again, I'm just going to start in.
I'm going to super zoom one more time.
Yeah, let me go through this one, right? And I'll start off. I'll find the edge right where I want the middle of the brightest part of the shine, and I'll just kind of bulk the shine up. I'll tap the brush until I get it to have like a little dot of brightness there, and then kind of just swipe the brush easily along the edge, then kind of stipple, just kind of hit the brush, tap along the edge to make some dots, feather it out, and then come in here and just do these really small lines, hash marks or hatch marks, if you will, like so. Boom. That gives it the blend into the shine that you had around it the first time. The first time around you just did more. This time you'll sneak it inside that area of brightness. Boom. On this inside cuff, I'm probably just going to do a little couple of dots because it's kind of nestled in between these other two layers that might shade it a little bit. So I'll just do like that. And no line. Make sense? Now you've got the actual black armor. Starts looking pretty good, yeah? All painted with Payne's Gray. So it is usually blows people's minds when you're like, yeah, when I paint black, I don't use any black. Except for the black wash.
I'm not able to read the name because it's dark. Okay, synthetic. Said that I have such a hard time getting edges like this. My hand starts shaking at the worst moment and makes a mess.
Framing, if you go back out to the further zoom for me, Chris, making sure that you have a stable foundation for painting is the most important thing in brush control. A lot of people, when you're sitting at your chair, you'll have your elbows on the table and bring the model up to your face, and your elbows don't offer a really good point because it's a pivot. It lets your arm move from the pivot. So your arm is constantly allowing this sway, and in order to hold still, you're now having to strain your muscles, believe it or not, even though you're not clenching. Eventually you will clench as you go in to do those details, and as you do that, your muscle in your forearms and your shoulders and biceps will start to fatigue, even in the smallest points that'll cause you to shake, you know. And so keeping your arm, like we're on a standing desk, so my forearm is flat on the desk. So I have a really good stable point. I'm standing. I'm not having to bend over except from the waist. I'm not having to hunch my shoulders and my back. I'm standing. I bend at the waist to come forward, put all the weight on my forearms, and now I have my other forearm with the elbow and forearm resting. And then you'll notice that I place my pinky a lot of time on the model before I go in. And then in this case, pinky and then ring finger are hitting the model too, right? And then I've got these three fingers are controlling the brush. And I'm really painting with my middle finger is kind of leveraging the brush, and the thumb and the forefinger are just pinching it, making sure it doesn't fall out of my hand. So I'm guiding the brush from down close to the ferrule, which gives me a short fulcrum, so I can't move a whole lot. I have to do very tight brush strokes. If I pull from my forefinger and my thumb, I have a longer lever and I can do bigger brush strokes. If I'm pushing from my middle finger, then I can't do very long brush strokes. I do really short ones. So I'm always alternating. If I want to do like a whole edge, then I'll use my forefinger and my thumb and I'll pull that edge like this so that I can pull the whole edge, right? But if I want to do little ones, then I put my middle finger is always on there, but my middle finger starts guiding it, and I'm actually doing this. to get that brush stroke because the brush can't be pushed as far with my middle finger as it can with these fingers. Make sense? So it's a complex machine made out of your hand, right? If you want to zoom back in, then...
And if you worry about touching the model, you can wear gloves or use...
Put cellophane on it or something,
like
yeah.
Saran wrap to hold the model.
But these are the things that you don't really think about, but when you develop a really good method for handling the model this way, you'll notice that now I can get in here, and because I can dial into my middle finger doing the work, now I can't make big broad strokes that mess stuff up, right? And then I just kind of use my forefinger, my thumb, if I'm going to poke at the model to do a little stippling. And boom, works out like a champ.
Well, Tomato said Andy uses his left hand because he's been touched by chaos.
Also true.
Punisher's asking, aside from avoiding face or demonstrating brush glazing for vids, there's no reason I can't do the same black filter with an airbrush and turbo thin black transparent paint to save time, right?
Yep. Yeah, I would do this with an airbrush easily. Especially at this stage of the game, I would only have to mask the head to make sure I didn't get... And I could actually spray this without ever getting close to the head at this point. Right? I'm just trying to keep this to brush as more of a accessible by anybody. But yeah, you can do a lot of what you've seen me do other than like edge detailing. You can do all with an airbrush. And we do quite often.
Oh, I think his are like a 1.5.
They're asking, what's your glasses prescription?
They're not prescription, they're readers
You
over
know,
the counter. Just bought at the drugstore.
I mentioned it yesterday, chat. Jason spoils me when it comes to how I can film him because I can. It's great for filming.
1.5.
It makes that camera angle great.
Again, on a line like this, for the beginning, I'll be using my middle finger. So I'm just doing a really nice tight line right there. Then as I come through the middle, right, I might use my forefinger and thumb to poke the brush to get a little bit of stippling. You want to punch in on that? Right? So I can get a little bit of stippling for that line. And then as I get over here and I want to draw a longer line, forefinger and thumb to pull that longer line. And then as I get to the end, back to using my middle finger to just kind of punch that on there. So I'm just doing this nice tight area. So it really is thinking about what part of my fingers are being is it the fulcrum, right? Physics, geometry, all that good science. It's science.
Mr. Blue, have you tried just readers? I don't, a Panavisor sounds like one of those big things, right? Like that you put on?
Maybe. I've never used those because I don't, the intensity of the magnification makes me sick. I can't have a lot of magnification. These 1.5s sometimes get to me. I have to be able to look over them quite frequently if I'm painting for long periods of time, just because I'll start getting a little queasy.
Oh, because you already have prescription glasses. Okay, gotcha.
Oh, yeah. Maybe so then.
What about the like the lights with the big magnifying thing, where you could put that lower?
We used to have one here.
Yeah.
We never used it. Again, the magnification's really tough for me.
No, I'm asking. Like,
but for them,
would that work for someone else?
Sometimes
just
if you
because,
pull the lamp and it has the ring light and the magnifier in the middle.
Yeah.
For me, the thing there is the hand-eye coordination's weird when you're under the magnifying glass, getting it centered, and then really it just takes me a little extra time to find my center point and be
That
like,
makes
okay,
sense.
it's great for doing eyes because if you can get it right, and it's not, the problem is you can't like focus it and zoom it, so you're moving the model to get it just right, and then you got to stabilize it, but it's fantastic because then you're like, oh, awesome, and then the dot goes where you want it.
Gotcha.
So they are great,
wouldn't be as
It'd be neat if you had one where you could be like to focus it, you know,
Like at
where
the-
you wanted
like
to
at the eye
paint, as
doctor.
opposed to having to move the model around to it. But yeah,
1 or 2.
yeah. All right, we're looking good.
Okay, the one. Hear me, chat. The one Lord of the Rings question I will answer right now.
Uh-oh.
Was Arkenstone a Cimmeral? No, I've heard that theory. It's not. I don't think so, because that's the thing. It's an open-ended question theory. It is definitely not, but you could spin it in a way of like, oh, sure it is. Anyway, that's your Lord of the Rings factoid of the day.
AJ's working.
You notice I'm constantly taking off paint here, even though I'm not painting very thin, because I'm doing very, very thin lines. So I want control with the paint. I don't want there to be a blob of paint when I go to touch the brush to the model. And rather than using a smaller brush, you know, when using a big brush, I just have to control how much paint is actually on there. And that lets me do very fine detail work with a larger surface. Because all we're doing is like teeny weeny dots and lines at this point. Deets and doots, we call them. And I prefer to work with a larger brush that holds more paint so that I can paint longer when doing this. In order to do that, you got to make sure you're just controlling the amount of paint on the brush, because it can get out of control and you get a bigger line just because where you touch the model drops off quite a bit of paint.
Avian, welcome in. You said, may I ask a photography question? Shoot.
Red Zypho said, it's not for control. You just like a painted thumb, right?
Yes. It is great when you go out to dinner.
Yesterday, I believe. I don't have my notes here.
What's that?
I think you did if you guys go back and watch that VOD, he did a whole spiel on the thumb palette.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it might have been yesterday or Monday.
All right, Avian. Trying to an attempt to mimic. So I painted some dark angels. If I pop it into a light box, the amount of light dropped on them kills the effect. But if I dial down the exposure, bam, instant Caravigo. I think I pronounced that right.
Said if you need examples, I can put pics in the Discord.
Yeah, you know what? Tag me in them. I always like that. I come from primarily a video background, but there are very similar sciences behind it, so I can always see what your settings look like and maybe help you with your settings.
Oh, Swifter Bear, sorry. Stay warm. Have a good weekend.
I'm going to zoom in really close for me, Chris.
Yeah.
For some of these details, maybe just leave me here. And
Sure,
I'll just
yeah.
I'll just try chat to keep in frame. I
That's
apologize if I get a little in or out.
This is super tight, so.
But what we're doing is just the smallest amount of paint, right? I say all the time that the joke with miniature painting is you'll spend the bulk of your time putting the least amount of paint on the model.
Yep.
And it's because of things like this. Like, I want to make sure that this hack in the armor has a good highlight to it, right? The biggest shine would be up towards the light here. So I want to put a little bit there, and then I want to just do a very light touch. I'm going to keep the color from being at high intensity by barely hitting the model, and then building up a little dot of paint at the top where the shine would be just by tapping the brush like that. And so I get that blended look, but I just used one color. And it's all about very, very light brush strokes. So it's almost like dry brushing, barely any paint at all, and then tap more on here. Then where this little dot is where these two kind of scratches intersect. I've got a dot out here on this one. Intersect there, intersect there. And that gives some depth to that, so it makes it look like the crease in the armor actually goes in because it has bulged the metal around it out to give it a little bit of a shine.
Caravaggio was a painter with very strong contrast between light and shadow. Jim Crimmins wants to know if you put down gray or steel base coat.
On this is all purple and Payne's gray.
Yeah. Yeah.
Believe it or not.
When you say Caravaggio, you got to say it the same way you'd say Tony Bag of Donuts.
Caravaggio.
T. Schmidt is asking, are those sculpted scratches?
Most
or
are not,
painted?
no.
No, those are all
Painted.
painted on.
Here I'm just stippling in a little bit of shine on the breastplate here so that I can make it conform to the kind of radial, circular, spherical shape of the breastplate.
And Jim Crimmins, he's done the entire model on stream.
Yeah.
This week, I think. So
it
you
all
wanna see the
started from royal purple, or dark purple, sorry. You can see the dark purple in the shadow areas of like the here, right? And under here, you can get that feel of the purple, which I like as a shadow color. Then you can see a lot of the Payne's gray blue on like the belly plate because it's all in shadow, so I haven't highlighted a lot of that. And then you get hints of blue up through here as I move it, right? And then it's all white blue added into that. So this is entirely Payne's gray, if you want to punch out real quick.
Mm-hmm.
It's all Payne's gray and white blue as the metal, like the armor color. And then I made a concoction of black wash with a little Payne's gray in it. So it's still a hair bluish, but barely, right? And I thin that down, and I use that black wash as a glaze and put it over the top, and that's what then gave me that grayishness to the highlights that pushes it into the realm of being black. Because I'm looking for that kind of gunmetal black armor that still has a sheen to it, right? So it's catching some of the reflection from the environment, but it's still giving us the feel of a dark armor color.
Were the deep scratches also just Payne's gray?
Payne's gray and white blue, yeah. I just mixed them together. You can see kind of here's one 50-50 mix of them, and I haven't done any of the dark mixes today, but I will do the scratches starting at the kind of 50-50 mid-tone level. And then get brighter with the scratches so that they all kind of blend together by the time I'm done.
Come up just a little bit, Jason. There you go. I've got you really punched in.
Oh, cool. Sorry, I didn't
Ooh,
realize
nice. Nope, that's okay.
So
That's
again,
great.
a very light brush pull to where I want the brightness to be, and then a tap with the brush to get that dot of brightness, and that makes it look like the gorget is taking a couple of hits along its edge, has a couple little dings in it. I love the ability with metal to break the shine up. If I just do a solid line of brightness here, it makes it look all clean and new. So if that's what you want, go for that. I'm making this look a little bit more battle-worn.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
By putting those dents and dings in it. Deets and doots. And we'll do up here. And again, on this, I had this I-beam shine, I call it, to where I had a line across here, a sort of line down the bottom. The line on the bottom followed the feathers, right? But it's like an I-beam, like a capital letter I. And so I want to keep that shape going. So I'll take the brighter white blue, if I have any left on my brush. Yeah, there's a little bit there. And I'll draw the upper bar of the shine here. Again, light line, and then pile the color up in the middle where I want it to be the brightest. Need more. Doesn't have the opacity I need. There we go. And then same thing over here. And we'll kind of tie them together. There's a little nick right there.
Zaz and yeah, it would make a great gunmetal color. Mm-hmm.
And then you can have, like, I can do kind of a doot right here.
That's a technical term, chat.
Yeah.
A doot. That's a scientific term, too.
Maybe a doot down there.
Nice doot.
And then we'll do this. Thanks. I like that you appreciate my doots.
Do the do.
They're great dudes. Question from Avian. For someone, question for someone else.
Never mind.
If you want to do some graffiti on a tank or wall so it looks like rattle canned, how would you do that without an airbrush? Oh, that's a great question for Jason. Nah. he's too busy with his dudes right now.
No, you know.
How would you do graffiti without an airbrush, Jason?
So airbrush is just a texture, right?
Mm-hmm.
So think of it like everything else. It's a texture that's a little out of focus, right? It's a little fuzzy around the edges. So I'm going to ask you a question, chat. What brush technique makes things look fuzzier? Anyone? Bueller?
Avian said, I think I gave my answer.
Stippling, yeah.
Larger brushes are for decadutes, while millidutes require a very tiny brush.
I like that when the teacher called out on the class, everybody's like, yeah, stippling, yeah, stippling.
Yeah. Stippling is...
We're so
Taking off my glasses
We're so mesmerized by the dudes right now that we're just like, oh, in
the fuzzy two-stroke technique.
Land. The fuzzy two-stroke technique. Oh, boy.
Yeah, stippling allows things to look a little out of focus because it's all those dots. And when you really get down to it, that's what makes the actual act of spray and airbrush look out of focus, is the fact that it's a bunch of dots of paint, you know, being atomized out of a spray can or something. So same kind of gig. I am going to go in here and create a shine that we did not do earlier. I'll be very careful with this because I don't want to do it too bright. So just light touches in the corner area here, so I don't get the paint at full opacity, even though it's the same paint on the brush. Remember, the lighter the brush stroke, the less paint goes down, the darker it'll be against that dark backdrop of Payne's gray. So I can kind of create this area that looks like it has a shine and then pop in some brightness in there.
Did you airbrush that? No, I spent 10,000 hours stippling it.
Yes. All right. Boom. And then on this edge back here, I can do a couple extra little doots and dashes. For posterity's sake. And there's our shoulder plate.
Nice.
So we've got the chest, the shoulder, the fingers, the whole nine. Everything's looking good. That's black armor. Done with no black except for a little bit of black wash.
So you're gonna add a touch more black wash?
No.
No.
No, I like it the way it is. We'll see
Now-
how it turns out after I add the gold. Remember, one of the tricks in painting, right, is understanding what you're about to do to the model, what other next color you're going to use, and what that's going to do to the visual impact of the model. That takes experience and practice. There's nothing I can teach you other than to tell you and have you sit in the back of your mind so that when you do it and you recognize it, you have your aha moment. Because it just doesn't, it's one of those things that until you put it into practice doesn't seed in. If I paint something brighter on a model than all the colors that are already on it, the model gets darker. Everything you're seeing right now, including the little doots and deets of white blue that make it look so bright right now, if I go on with white on this, those deets and doots get dark. And so I think about it in terms of I don't want to push this armor any further because when I do the non-metallic gold we're about to do, this whole shoulder is going to be non-metallic gold. Right now it's black. So right now it's making everything around it look brighter because all the areas that are still in the dark, it's dark neutral gray primer that we use. But the dark neutral gray primer is so dark that it makes everything around it look brighter. As soon as I start putting yellow on this,
we're getting
everything around it starts looking darker
Yeah.
because I start overtaking it with brighter colors. So again, it's why I talk about painting in steps. Start with doing something to where you think it's like 50% done. Don't push yourself to say, okay, the armor's got to be perfect before I move on to the hair, or the armor's got to be perfect until I move on to the sword. No, don't do that. Don't spend all that time because you'll find out you're wrong 99.9% of the time, because you'll paint the next color on the model. And unless you've done this exact same model in this exact same color scheme before this, you won't know what's going to happen. So start putting the next colors down and you'll start seeing how this armor could look too blue once I put the yellow on there. Because the yellow will be a totally warm color and it might make the blue really stand out on the armor. You won't know until you do it. So, playing around and making sure that you take the time to, let the model find its way, so to speak. That's kind of hippy-dippy, but you get my drift.
T. Schmidt wants to know if you're thinking green gold or red gold or purple gold.
Believe it or not, I'm going to use greens and oranges. Together again like the first time.
Yeah, what's your Iterator? Thank you for the 4-month Prime sub.
Thank you.
4-month streak. Welcome in, you guys. We just finished up, or are just finishing up, the black armor on this guy. If you guys have any questions, be sure to tag us.
Oh, Heisentoe, thank you. I will look for that right after stream today. And we'll get it out to you next week. Sorry for the holdup. I'm not sure how I missed that one. I should probably go back because I think there was one other one I missed too.
All right. I went back and did a little bit of a desaturated, not quite so bright on the inside of the bicep to be kind of the reflection of the chest plate arm back into here.
Yeah.
It was a little dull back there. I might tune that as we get the gold going. Because we're also going to have to make the gold reflect into the black metal a little bit as we go, because you can imagine like the shine of this golden shoulder back into the chest plate is going to create an area where I'm going to need to go back with a little orange or yellow depending on how the gold turns out, and do some highlights and reflective colors on the black armor too to give it a little bit more shine. So that's where we're going to stay.
Because you start your gold workup starts with what green again?
A lot of times I use dark yellow green.
Dark yellow green.
Yeah, dark yellow green is where I like to be, and then I'm going to go from dark yellow green into probably burnt orange, something like that. Dark camo green works really well too, but I've really been loving dark yellow green.
I love dark yellow green. That is my favorite plant base. Workup.
For doing anything, anything chlorophyll filled, right?
Yep.
So dark yellow green is a great military style green.
Oh, you're going straight into the gold.
We're there,
this
baby.
Is it.
We're
wow.
there, baby. It's the next thing on the model. I can't paint the fur because the fur's on top of the gold. So now I got to paint the gold. I had to paint the black armor because, like I mentioned yesterday, I would love if I could always paint the brightest part of the model first, because then I can tune everything to that brightness as I paint everything else. It's not always possible because the brightest part of the model on this is going to be the gold armor, but some of it's underneath, like underneath his beard. So I need to paint the face because the face is nestled into all of this stuff. So I don't want to have to paint the neck if I've already painted the gold, right? I can't paint the fur first because I got the gold's underneath it, but I'm trying to get to paint the gold because the gold will be the brightest part of the model, and that will set the stage for where all the other things need to be highlighted and shaded toward. So yeah, it's pretty funny.
Wow.
That you have to work that way.
So you're starting with...
I'm going to do this messy. I'm going to go in and do the dark yellow green, then we're going to tune some shadows in with probably... I don't want to use Payne's Gray because the black armor is all Payne's Gray, although we could.
So you said, I'm sorry.
Probably dark purple, the same way we did the shadow for the dark purple.
You're starting with...
Starting with dark yellow green, just to get all of the gold outlined so I can see everything on the model that's supposed to be it. So I'll use an identifying color, so to speak, with the dark yellow green.
Perfect.
We'll base it. It'll make it bright. It will not be the right color to start with. If you want to start from shadow, I would start with the dark purple, but I'm going to paint everything first with this.
Carl Duty, not a texture trainer. This is Antonio LT Gray.
LT Gray, the legally distinct Primarch of the 42nd Legion. That'll blow some minds. Or 42? Nod to Douglas Adams there.
Blood Walrus, hello.
Nothing fancy here. We're just base coating. This will be another good candidate for airbrushing if you were good with masking. And a good way to show I do not wipe the paint off for controlling the amount of moisture on the brush when I'm base coating. I just slop it on there. Really easy. Just try not to get it on all the other stuff you've painted already.
That's always the
I get
key,
a bad
right?
case of the SADs. And I've got
I
non-metallic steel all done, the black metal's all done, and then green. Oh, nice.
Yeah,
and I usually don't see it when I do it. I see it later.
yeah. No, I
after all those colors are put away. And
I'm about to say I'm very vocal when I mess up on accident on my models. Gabe could attest. Because I get so focused, and it's like a car accident. It just comes out of nowhere.
It took me a long time to not do the I'll joke and say rage quit, but to not get to a rage quit spot when painting, when you would do silly stuff like that. Like, here I'm talking and I just kind of flippantly move the brush and I put a streak of green across his face, right? How horrible that would be. There were times where I too would have been like, okay, I'm done. And I'm done for the day. Nowadays, you can fix anything. We've even on stream before been like, well, I guess the rest of the stream is me showing you how to fix a part of the model you've painted. Right. Let's turn this into a teaching example.
Stark Raving Dad, thank you for the subprime. Welcome in.
Whoa, thank you.
Blood Walrus, I was going to say that exact same thing. Pig Tofu said, just got a text from shop saying that my Nova Orange is on the way. Will complete the range for me.
Woohoo.
Awesome.
Blood Walrus said, for now.
Well, also true. We never like people to have a completed set of protocol for long.
No.
We either want you using it, or we come out with more colors. In this case, we're coming out with more colors.
Heisentoad wants to know if you could use drab brown as the base for non-metallic gold.
Oh, sure. Orange brown, dark orange brown, drab. You got it. Any of those are great. We could use them as shadows, because I tend to think of it as like, what is this model already using as a color for the shadow? And it's dark purple on the black armor. So I'm going to go in with dark purple on this too. And I'll hopefully it's apparent why, because then it ties the materials together into more of a storytelling or an environment. I don't know what the purple, represents. It's not like I'm planning on him being on a purple planet. But maybe that's the thing that hits the person in their mind when they look at it.
Smelly Fellow wants to know if you are thinning the base coat or is it straight out of the bottle?
Straight out of the bottle with just a little bit of dampness on my brush. You need to make sure your brush is a little wet so that the paint flows off of it. Acrylic paint right out of the bottle, no matter what, is going to, gum up the flow of the brush if you're not careful. So it's just a little bit of dampness on the brush. But no, I call this unthinned when I'm telling people about how I paint.
Carl Duty had a nice holiday. Said, first time I've been able to tune in since before Christmas. Happy to report it was a pro acryl holiday.
Nice.
My amazing wife got the base set, and the synthetic brush set, the metallic set, and the transparent set.
Holy great haul.
That's a good one.
Good haul.
Tangent said, first time catching you live in a couple months. Any update on the heavy body acrylics?
Imminent is what I've been saying. We got the label work off to them to create the labels, and we should hopefully get approval samples shown in picture or whatever we get in the next week or so. We have LVO next week, so that'll hold things up a bit. But, hopefully by the end of January, I've got a good time frame. If not saying, February, late February, early March is my goal. I would like to see them hit before Adepticon, because we're releasing 24 colors at Adepticon, and those two will step on each other's toes if we aren't out in front of it. So we'll keep you posted, though. This lion head's really cool. Sorry, tiger head.
Those will be in tubes. Are the tubes going to be plastic or metal?
Plastic. They are, well, okay, so they're a plasticized aluminum.
Like toothpaste, right?
Like toothpaste tubes.
Like a toothpaste, yeah.
Yeah, like better toothpaste tubes.
Yeah.
It's got a plastic layer over the top of the metal.
So you can squeeze it and like smash it, flatten it to get the
You
paint.
got it.
Yeah.
You got it.
Unfortunately, the network from our booth at LVO is not stream worthy.
No.
It's not good enough.
Not for what we're trying to do.
Definitely don't brush your teeth with it. Nope. Toothpaste isn't edible. Shouldn't be eating your toothpaste.
Nope. That will exceed
Wait,
the
you
daily
don't-
recommended of fluoride.
You don't get the you don't get the kids ones. I do that so I can have a little, I do it so I can have a little
Where they just
taste.
squeeze it in their mouth and eat it.
Keep it as a snack in your t-shirt.
The
In like
the
your shirt
kids'
pocket. Just
toothpaste.
rip
Yeah.
out your strawberry toothpaste
You
every now and
guys
then.
just see me just whip out a thing of kids'
Oh
toothpaste.
my god.
Oh yeah, it's astronaut food.
I had a buddy that kept Flintstone vitamins, the kids' version of Flintstone vitamins around. He ate them as candy because he kept saying, "Oh, but this is healthy." I'm like, okay, so
so are
what
Tic
color
Tacs
is
in
your
that
pee,
way.
dude?
Seriously.
You're peeing a rainbow of vitamin colors.
Tangent, yeah, we've shown off the colors from Adepticon, or the colors that will be coming out at Adepticon.
They're really nice.
When
And there's
you
more.
here's one
We've
from
shown some of
Ozo.
them.
When you have multiple parts of the model that will be the same color, like the shoulder, what is your thought process about where you start? I was actually going to ask, so like right now, would you paint the rest of these gold parts green before moving on?
Yeah, I'll paint everything that's going to be gold. Will get base coated green first. As to how do I choose which one to focus on to get, I might choose something smaller, like I don't know. These are all really unique shapes, right? The Gorget is its own shape with, again, the the legally descript tiger liger head and wings. And then the trim here is just kind of metal, trim. So sometimes I start with whatever's the coolest and I think will be, the neatest to paint. Sometimes I'll start with a small area if I want to test the color scheme and see how it works against the backdrop of everything else I painted. So it can be a variation of me deciding, what this lion's head is really bitching. So, starting here would be cool. Also a very complex shape. So I might want to work the color scheme out on something not quite so complex sometimes. But I'm kind of an idiot, so I'll probably do the lion's head first on the shoulder here.
Starker, I spent way more on new paints, and by Monday's shipment, I should have almost 80 bottles of paint.
Oh, goodness.
Nice.
Holy mackerel.
First time chat.
Diving in.
Question from Nicholas Gardner. What color would you finish with to paint black if you are using coal black and blue black?
Well, to finish, you mean like for your highlight? Is that what the question is?
It just said, let me go back to it. What color would you finish with to paint black if you're using coal black and blue black?
Do you want to mix or do you just want a color? If you just want a color, gray blue is in that family where you're at, and you could use that for your highlight. And then punch a little bit of white blue or white, as the final doot of highlight, as it were. As you've seen me paint here, if you may not have seen me paint this armor here, but for this black armor, it's all done with Payne's gray and white blue, and I just mix them as I go to get brighter and brighter and brighter. That's my personal preference. So in that case, I would say you would use white blue and start mixing it with the blue black to get your highlight. That way you get to be in control of how bright your highlight gets and make sure it works for you at each stage of the way, rather than just picking up a color that feels like, maybe this will work. When you start to mix for tint, tone, and shade, that's a really important part of doing things like armor especially. Because you're trying to pick up the color of the shine, which is not the same as the color of the armor, but you want them to play well together, right? The shine is a combination of the color of the material it's reflecting off of and the color of the light that's creating it. So our sun is a yellow-white ball of fire that is casting yellow-white light on everything around, but it isn't going to be that you paint with yellow paint to make the reflection of our sunlight. You're going to have to think of how that color looks on black or red or whatever. So I like white blue as a mix in for any black armor, as I've kind of proven on this model. Looks good, works very well. That's the brightest highlight you see here is all white blue. It looks like white because it's the brightest thing in the scene. But if I were to show you white, nothing is bright enough on this model. If nothing compares to the white. Even the white blue is really dark compared to pure white. So it gives me the ability to go in with pure white later and up the brightness on anything on the model. I tend to not paint with white until the very end.
That's yellow-green. Geltip was asking about the color. If it's yellow ochre or yellow-green.
Yeah, dark yellow-green.
Oh, dark yellow-green, sorry. Zazim wants to know how many more colors you would like to add to the line.
Oof.
Not many.
We'll never have over 96.
Oh, and
I'm a liar.
But not many more.
Too
many.
The main line of Pro-Acryl will technically be stopping at 96. We have a lot more colors in that right now due to the Signature series and washes and things like that. But yeah, we have, I think, 12 additional colors left when you include the washes and the fluorescence and such. So not too many more. It'll be one more expansion, which is expansion set 5. How that comes out, it may be expansion set 5 and a few more washes. But with the 24 colors coming out at Adepticon, which kind of gives you insider information that they are not part of the main ProAcryl line. But don't ask us what they are, because we won't tell you. Right, but with the 24 colors coming out of Adepticon, that'll give us 161? 151? Yeah, 151 colors, right?
Mr. Blue, the Wizard's Butt is they're not standard colors. They're just mixed.
Yeah, Wizard's Butt doesn't count in that
creative
conversation.
colors, and when they're gone, they're gone. So, no set of Wizard's Butt.
Wizard's Butt is never gone.
It just
it just comes
takes
back
on a new form.
It just comes back in a new form. I don't know what happens to that piece here because it just kind of disappears and I can't see it anymore. So
Yeah, I was just about to say, does it turn in?
there's a part where the breastplate has a trim that you can't probably see in there, but it comes up like Space Marines do, and then the stomach piece is separate, so it's probably just stops there at the end of the actual breastplate. I'm gonna go with that. That's my thought. There you go.
T. Schmidt, it's right where you left it.
What's
So
that?
look there first.
What's that?
T. Schmidt said, "Oh, panic mode. No clue where my bright green is."
It's right where you left
It's
it.
right where you left
It's
it.
in the last place you look.
Yeah.
I learned that from Christopher.
Yeah.
What? You learned that from me?
Yeah, you told me like a couple of days ago. You told me it's always in the last place you look, and that's a fact, or something like that.
Is that me? I don't know if that was me.
Flapjack said the same thing. It'll be in the last place you look, because when you find it, you stop looking.
Maybe it was me. Man, so full of great wisdom.
You
on
are
my
full of
chat.
great wisdom, Christopher, and many other things as well.
Papa
That's
Chicken
right.
keeps looking to make sure he found it.
Keep looking to make sure you found it. That's awesome.
I need to buy more paint myself. Bright yellow green. I just ran out.
Smart. You can never be sure. Oh, it was George Carlin, not Christopher, that said it's always in the last place you look.
Okay, perfect.
Well, that's also true.
I'll take that because I'll channel my,
That's
my
also
inner
true.
George Carlin.
Also true.
Possibly a bigger issue. I just found it with 12 more colors that I didn't know were missing.
Oh, T. Schmidt. Oh.
Is that a good thing? I love how we have the legally distinct crux terminatus here as well.
Deke Sniper, these sessions are great. Really learning a lot about your paints and mixing and blending. First time chat. Well, welcome in. We're definitely
Awesome.
glad that you are finding them useful. That's our whole point of doing this. We want to make sure you guys have the opportunity to do some learning.
Yeah, and hopefully you see that the power of ProAcryl is in its simplicity. we have made a paint that acts like you hope a paint acts without having to mess around with it all the time. The thing that stumps people with our paint is that you don't have to treat it like hobby paint. You don't have to thin it to the ends of the earth just to get it to work. You don't want to overwet it if you're going for opaque base coats. You just want to use it. Get it out of the bottle, put it on the model. Out of the bottle, onto the model.
Hey.
I
Oh,
like
put it
that.
on the whiteboard.
Oh.
There you go. From bottle to model.
Jamie Dagger's rating with the party of 47.
Never.
Welcome in, Raiders.
Jamie, what's going on?
Welcome in, Raiders.
Oh, Stunter.
Oh, no, we just lost the... What was it? Say it again. Out of the bottle, onto the model. There it is.
Bottle
Out
to
of the-
model.
Out of the bottle onto the model.
Boom. We're painting Antonio El Tigre, the legally distinct Primarch of the First Legion.
Hello, everyone.
Jamie, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome in, Raiders. If you're just now tuning in, we are finished the black armor earlier. Now we're doing some gold.
I love gold. Did we both just do that at the same time?
I think so.
Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
Copy that.
He's got that legally
Jinx, you owe me a
distinct
divine.
twinkle in his eye.
No, you can't be.
I just
pulling
did it.
That.
I just did it. Jinx, you owe me a
No,
divine.
chat. No, I'm stopping the recording so we don't have proof.
I did it. I did it. Chat heard me.
Well, it's been really great, chat. Everybody have a great day. I'm kidding.
Christopher owes me a divine orb.
I don't. I can't afford this. I need more skeletons so that my game
I
breaks.
need more skeletons.
So that I can't play my game because it breaks.
How's everyone's golden demons? I think that resolution has been busted. I don't think that's going to happen.
What about Jordan?
He may.
You say that, but you know what? Jason had this idea, and I don't want to steal it, but you said it kind of in passing during that whole time when we were doing that.
Uh-huh.
You were saying, because I had just gotten the model of Smeagol that is the invisible resin. 'Cause
Yeah.
I just thought it was fun.
Yeah.
And you came up with the idea of just doing a golden demon with an amazing painted diorama.
Without the
And
model
not-
being
and
in the
then
clear plastic.
With Smeagol wearing the ring, which
Yep.
would be thematically really cool if you did him in like the Misty Mountains or wherever. Like you can put him in any place, right? Just
That's the way to do it.
Him stalking with the ring on would be
That's the way to do it. But you have this amazing diorama.
Everything else.
Everything is amazing, and the model is just clear plastic. And you say, GW, you created this.
You could do it.
The title of it would be "You made me." GW made me do it.
Yeah, that's a really cool themed piece, though. If like he was stalking the Fellowship or something like that, that would be really good.
Oh no, you have to have him be the only model.
Oh,
on the base.
right. That's
the only way
No
it has
one-
its impact is if he's the
Yeah.
only model on the base.
I thought it'd be cool, even though I don't know if it actually happens where he's invisible at the Forbidden Pool, right? Where you take like a bunch of the GW terrain and make the Forbidden Pool scene with that model. I thought it'd be cool. No, he doesn't have the ring then. Never
No.
mind. He's stalking at that point. But anyway, yeah, that would be a very fun diorama. I support this. Amy was painting with my weekly 4 color palette on some cool 15 millimeter models. For the
Nice.
new indie game. Nice. 15 millimeter. Those are tiny, right?
Yep. Half size of what we're used to. 15 is bigger than like 6. You know, like the Imperial. What is it called? Imperialis.
Imperialis. What's that? Is
6.
That's 6. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's a new game, or not a new game, a game I saw some advertising for, a small epic size, like fantasy looking game. Thought it was interesting.
Yeah, I think Mantic does one. GW used to. War Master.
Yeah. There's another one. I don't remember. Brutal Burrito. I think Jordan is doing Fulcrum, whatever that guy's name is. I don't know.
Hi.
Yeah, he's doing the trader.
Papa Chicken, it's dark yellow green.
Heretic. Mr. Skinny Jeans from the Emperor's Children.
Nice.
The angel on the shoulder is not gold. It is red and white. So that'll be a spot of color that isn't anywhere else, which is kind of cool on this bust, that, you know, they don't have the standard robes shown much except for a little bit on the shoulder and side of the breastplate. So there'll be some nice punch of color with the red angel on the side of the shoulder plate here. I usually don't like painting things that already have a defined color palette. Space Marines get a little old for me because it's like, oh yeah, Imperial Fist, they're all yellow, yay. But you can have so much fun putting your own twist to it.
Gel Tip said, will you apply a filter wash to the gold like you did on the black armor? If so, what color would you use, or is that a secret of the trade?
Oh, I have no secrets here.
Everything's...
The quick answer is probably not. The gold that I use will go from dark to light and end, generally. That's not always the case. There are times where I get to what I think is the stopping point. I'm like, you know what? I really wish this was a little more orange. And then I do like a filter of orange over the top. But usually with my non-metallic gold, it gets to a stopping point and it's done. I don't have to use a lot of filters. I don't do it the same way with black. The armor is done that way because it, for me, is one of the easiest ways to achieve black. Or gunmetal or very dark metallic armor, is you build it up as if it were a brighter color so that you get those highlights kind of bulky and they make sense. You get your lighting where it needs to go. Then by filtering it down with a dark color like the black Payne's Gray Mix wash that we did, darkens it all up, and then you just do a little bit of highlight to it, and now you've got all those mid-tones nicely seated in on it. So for me, it's just a really easy way to do that. Rather than with black, you have a lot of mixed nuances coming up from black to highlighted black, because you've got all these really low value grays or blues that you work into, and then a highlight. It's not that you can't do it. It's just I have more fun just pushing through it quickly, and that's what we did here. On the gold, I'll take more time. The gold doesn't look as good, in my opinion, when I do it that way.
Zazin, it was dark yellow green.
Yeah, this is dark yellow green that I'm using right now. I'm not going to worry about the sword right now, believe it or not, because I'm handling this area a lot down here where it will be gold. And I know I'm going to as I'm painting the lion. So I'll be rubbing a lot of paint off. You can already see where I'm rubbing primer off. So I'll be rubbing that off. So I'm not going to paint that, which I'm not going to paint this part either, just because, I mean, I guess I could. But I'll wait and do the whole sword on its own. I might choose at that point to do it a different yellow metal, more bronzy on the sword hilt than gold on the armor. You know, I can imagine they don't make them out of the same metal. That's where my brain kicks in, and the realism part of it happens, is that if you paint everything the exact same combination of paints and method of painting, they look like they're made of the exact same material. And if you're doing like a red robe, red armor, red boots, right? They're not all the same material. The robe may be silk, the armor may be metal, the boots may be leather. So all those reds would be different because there's no way to dye all of those materials and have them look the same. There's just no way to do that. You can use the same color dye on all of them, but because of the material and the way it reacts with the color, they'll all look differently. So sometimes picking a different way of doing gold on one part of the model versus the next is good, whether you're using metallic paints or not. Always a good way to look at it. All right. Now we're just going to get sloppy.
Pig Tofu, you're having a blast painting Sylvaneth right now. Have you painted any Sylvaneth, Jason? He's asking.
Those are those guys that I painted a lot of, right?
No, you did not Ideneth, Lumineth.
Lumineth Realm
Army
Lords.
in a week.
Yeah, that's right.
Jason's gonna do that next week, you guys. So get ready.
Dark purple. What am I doing?
How do you keep track of all these
I'm
different?
kidding.
What? What'd you ask?
I said, how do you keep track of all these different? Like, how does Christopher know that?
You see that I don't. I'm a normal human being that can't remember my name most days. Christopher makes up for people like me by being able to remember the 50 million different army names and characters in those armies.
That's why I'm here.
And yes, that's why
And
he's
when we
here.
painted that.
All right, so now we're going to take dark purple, and I'm going to be really messy with it here. I'm just going to paint shadow. There's a bunch of complex shapes on this legally distinct tiger, lion, liger thing. So I'm just going to kind of come in here and really quick pick up a lot of the spots where I think I might want to have some dark reflections.
This is dark purple.
Dark purple. And I'm doing it this way just so I can be messy. I know neither of these colors are going to be representative on the model at big, high levels at the end. So I could have done this dark purple first and then the green over the top, but then I would have had to have painted all these details pretty specifically with the green, and I'm not trying to spend that time on it, right? So again, just get in here and real quick do some areas where we know there would be darker reflections inside of the mouth, underside of everything, kind of thing. Top green, bottom purple kind of mentality here.
If someone who like just turned the stream on right now would be like, "What is this guy doing?"
I know.
Like,
Part of
he
that
is a
model looks pretty
terrible
cool, and the
painter.
rest
How
looks
are people
horrible.
watching this?
That's how it goes, though. It's the
Welcome
process.
to painting with Jason. My models never make sense until they do.
Yeah.
If y'all are just tuning in, we're about to wrap it up in a little bit. But if you have any questions, feel free to tag us. We're doing some gold armor right now. That's we swear it's going to be gold.
Non-metallic gold. Green and purple, baby.
Digisniper was like, I was like that when he started the face.
I know. Oh yeah,
The face was crazy. If you weren't here Monday, go back and watch.
Definitely go back, watch Monday. And again, I said
That was
earlier
a journey.
tonight, we are
It's fine.
we're
Very
coming out.
unexpected.
We're coming out with a video going over the whole workup of the face, so you will see
We did
that
that
in
in an
bite-sized
hour.
chunk.
Osobi Paint said, I've been watching the stream and I'm still questioning his choice. Like, you know what the plan is and still questioning it.
I am too, man. I'm right there with you. I don't trust that I know what I'm doing. I said that earlier in stream. If you're here trusting me, you've got a problem. Good luck, I think is what I said. Good luck.
Ron Tomato said, this model looks crazy. Sign up for Jason's class at Adepticon.
Oh man, yeah, that's gonna be a
There's only 20-something seats.
And when does the registration
I'm teaching
open?
one class at
I
Adepticon.
believe
It's the first
it's-
class I've taught in probably, I said a decade, but probably 8
No,
years.
since the San Diego thing.
2016. 2017.
We had Pro Curl when you taught there.
Did I?
Yes.
Was it like a structured class?
It was the last
Whenever the last
Kingdom
Kingdom
Con.
Con was. So somebody could look up when Kingdom Con ended.
Pro paint taster.
2019?
Yeah. He's going to be teaching how to paint plaid in that class, everybody.
So maybe 2019, yeah.
registration opens Sunday at noon central.
He teaches how to paint plaid. Surprise. It's just me showing everybody how to green screen in
Yeah.
Adobe.
Yeah.
Or was it?
I think it was real, dude. You had me.
No, it
Me
was.
convinced.
Oh, it's real.
I was the one that painted that. Totally real.
Or was it, chat?
Or was it, Chad?
Who knows? It was definitely real.
Totally.
I'll teach you how to green screen for fun, though.
Game delay. I'm never going to remember that.
Simple rhyme. Sylvaneth, Lumineth. Asians of hey.
That's pretty good.
Hey, Jason.
What?
It's not bad.
Not bad. You know what I think I'm going to do now?
Wow, this is a really gnarly cliffhanger, though.
Yeah,
Because you've left us with dark
Come back
purple,
Monday.
greens,
You know what I
Chat,
think I'm going to
what
do
are we
now?
doing? Oh no.
I think what I'm going to do now before we leave, just to even do it worse, is I'm going to dry brush this with orange oxide.
Oh,
We're getting crazy. Why not?
Let's get wild, dude.
Why not?
it
This
does
shape,
look like a tiger now.
this shape
Does it?
on the shoulder
Oh.
especially is perfect for dry brushing.
See what
So.
we got to deal with, chat.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Keep you on your toes. I'm just going to
brush.
grab,
Oh,
what am I going to grab here? I'm
my.
going to grab an old BAB.
BAB.
Actually, no. Do I have I have a DA2, right? Yeah, somewhere around here I got a DA2. And a paper towel. Fold your faithful towel into a nice square. Boom. Get your brush loaded up with your paint. And then put your paint on paper towel. There you go. Boom.
Use the DA100.
What's going on?
What do you mean?
Oh, there's a little. I think I hit something. We're good.
What happened?
Use the DA100. Go. I don't know what you're talking about. Jason used the
Is that happening on your
DA100.
screen?
Yes, I'll.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I gotta
I'm
look
like,
at it.
did
Sometimes
I touch
that
something?
that camera went in and out. I don't know what happened with that.
Oh,
This is not what other people are seeing, right?
No.
Okay.
No, they'll see it. It's just I'll have to fix it. Sometimes that chat camera goes in and out, but I fixed it midway and then it went away again. But it's up right now, so everybody can see it.
But do you know what's happening on the screen that I'm looking at right now?
Oh, that
It's like-
screen. Oh, I thought you meant the fold. All right, I thought you meant that one. I'm like, oh, I just saw. Whoa!
That's okay. It's time for me to go anyway.
Sorry. Oh, just wigged out on me.
That was crazy.
I think it's
Okay.
I thought you were talking about the camera, but that would make sense.
I'm like, really? This is normal? Okay. Flashed black for a second. That's okay. We'll turn it off. I'm gonna go say goodbye to the crew. Wish them all a good weekend. I will wish you all a good weekend as well, and I'll see you next week.
Bye, Jen.
Poppy says bye too.
Wow, that's looking great.
Yeah, I think it was a little. I think the dry brush, while being a great idea, is not going to work because I can't do the other parts this way. So, because I think about it after. I'm gonna get paint all over my black armor. So, I'll only do it on this part.
Oh, okay.
I'll have to go back in and fill in. For this, it's the best anyway because it's going to catch all those details. And then when I go back in line, the rest of it, I would have liked to have been able to do it on the front collar too. I just don't think I can. Maybe with a small dry brush, but I'm too worried about getting orange all over his beard and stuff like that. So. But I'll be using orange oxide. I would use something like orange oxide. Burnt orange would work well. Burnt sienna would be too dark here to go up against the dark purple. So orange, something a little bit brighter palette. So orange oxide it is. And it allows us to then start framing in the undertones for the gold in the green and the orange. I really like this for gold. It winds up being a really great combo. Especially then with the dark purple. The dark purple will be the part that shows through the least and will look more like a brown or black shadow at the end.
Yeah.
But is really nice to pull. So when you're doing this, you're wanting to make the orange move into the spots towards your highlight. You'll cover each of these layers up as you go. So you're going to want to make sure that you leave enough of the green and enough of the purple showing to have it be worth having done it. And then same when we move into like yellow ochre will be my next color. And the yellow ochre will want to leave enough of the orange showing. And by doing so, we'll also leave enough of the green and the purple because the orange doesn't cover all of them. Yeah, the dry brush was cool, but probably not worth I don't know. It gave me a good head start on most of this.
Yeah, I was just about to say it. I think on this part, I think
It gave me a really good head
accomplished-
start because I'm only having to do like wispy. It actually gave me the blend between it and the purple, right?
Yeah.
So it actually does have a pretty high value here on all these shapes to make it quick to now just kind of go through and slam some orange into the raised areas. And again, you can be kind of messy here. That's the whole point with all of this. This is technically underpainting.
It's going to make a great thumbnail when it's all done. If you're all just tuning in, welcome. We are finishing up the day with some gold armor.
Will be non-metallic gold
Mm-hmm.
when we get done. Yeah, this actually works really well because the dry brush doesn't give me the full intensity of the orange, so then I can come back and build the orange up where I want it to be. It's brightest on the high spots, and in the mid-tones where the dry brush poked in there, it'll still have enough of a presence, but won't be too vibrant.
Nice.
Yeah, non-metallic gold is one of those that is probably for me the biggest in the non-metallic range of what the hell are you doing until you put the last color on.
Yeah. It's definitely a process trust for sure.
Yeah, because I really like a lot of color in the gold, right? I don't like just yellow because that's not representative of how gold is. That's like fake gold is more yellow. Real gold has a lot of reflective color. It tends to tarnish towards a more brownish black.
Yeah.
And so it gives you the ability to do some really neat stuff if you want to make it old looking.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives you a good idea where we'll pick up on Monday.
Nice. So
We've
give me
got-
a quick
we've got
little
some purple. We've got the green showing through. If you want to punch in real quick,
Yeah.
you can see more of that coloring.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Give me a recap on that.
And so you can see how the dry brush, we did the whole thing in the dark yellow green like the rest of these base pieces. Then we put the dark purple just really haphazardly, right? You saw how much I just kind of smacked the brush around because I knew I was going to put the orange over the top and the orange would blend and make all that make sense. So now we have that purple in the deepest shadows, the green in the in-between, and the orange starts moving us towards our warm highlights of gold where the yellows will go. And the green kind of sits in the middle with the purple, and we'll redefine those as we go along. But it gives me a good kind of very artsy-fartsy basis for how the gold will look. So imagine like when we did with the face, with the purple, the red, and the yellow green, we're doing that here just with the dark purple, the dark yellow green, and the orange oxide. Now we'll start painting the real colors over it. We'll start glazing with yellow ochre, then we'll move into like warm yellow, and then pale yellow or bright pale yellow, and then we'll have gold.
Nice.
I'll come back in and I'll do the same thing on these, except I'll use a finer brush and line in the purples and then do the oranges and stuff on these. Same thing. Same way we'll do it all. But
Cool.
There we go.
Nice.
Not too chebby.
Not bad.
Gel tip, if you didn't dry brush, would the orange oxide be thinner or just more controlled? If I didn't dry brush, I would have to run a thinner coat of orange oxide first so that it did that blend with the green and the purple. The dry brush kind of does a blending job on its own because it never puts a full... if you're using it with the brush fairly dry, it never puts full opacity color anywhere except along an edge. That's the whole point. If you leave it loaded with paint, you can do more smudge brushing, and you can do really amazing, vibrant things with a dry brush. The way I was doing it, it's basically like thinning the paint without having to thin the paint, because the dry brush just puts a smear, and so it lets color show through underneath it because of it, just the natural way it works. And so that helped because it blended the green and the purple together. And then with the brush layer, I go at full opacity and I start marking in where I want my shine to be. So a nice quick way to do it. I wish I could do it on the other parts of the model, but it would be too close to the stuff I've already painted and it'd be too messy. So I know I would get the orange over everything else. So we'll do the rest with brush. So if you tune back in on Monday, you'll see how I do that and achieve the same effect. But yes, I'll do the purple, and then the first layer of orange will be much thinner, much like a glaze, so it blends the purple and the green together in this kind of muddy orange color. And then we'll go back with the orange at full intensity at the highlight areas to lay in the basis for our yellows. Yeah, it's just a fun way to paint. When you start learning about color in general, you start finding that most of what you look at in the world has undertones of various other colors, either from dirt, right, and topical materials on it. We do like verdigris, just something being outside, something that's had an oil applied to it and shined. That oil adds its own coloring. So there's lots of things in the world that give an undertone of color to whatever the base of that color is. And it makes it really interesting when you start looking at stuff. It's why our eye tends to like the weathered objects. When we do like a space marine, the clean painted space marine isn't as neat as the one you put a little pigment on the foot that matches the base. So if you do like Martian Earth, you bring a little bit of that burnt red color up onto the boot, makes it look like he's been stomping through, because it starts to tell a story of how this thing exists in reality, even though it's a fantasy thing. And so I paint that way on generally everything I do, from faces, armor, all the things you've seen, using colors that are a little abstract, a little out of the norm, but pull an environment and a story together. So using dark purples as shadows, greens for the base of gold, even though your brain doesn't naturally go there. You don't think of, well, it's not gold, it's not green, but it could be reflective of green things in the environment. It just makes it a neat way to pull the yellows apart from just being yellow, right? So especially when doing things like non-metallic metal, the more you can get flexible in the other colors you use first, we call it underpainting, but the first base layers that you use, if they're not the same as the final color you want the thing to be, it opens a whole world of possibilities up to you to make that object look a lot cooler without any extra steps. I painted that face, like I said, an hour and a half. I think it was an hour and a half of stream time, that included me talking about what we were doing. So in under an hour, we painted the face on him. You want to pop that back up?
Yeah.
In under an hour, his face got painted. Punch us in once, right? Yep, twice. And while we're not done, that's pretty damn good. And that includes doing the eyes and the whole nine. So, and that's just 4 colors on the face. It's the royal purple, the red oxide, the bright yellow green, and advanced flesh tone. And I'll go back and smooth out the blends and stuff as we get closer. It's only 2 colors on the hair, right? It's golden brown and dark golden brown to get that started. But that gives us a really, really good underpinning of color that makes the face look more alive with the purples, the greens, and the reds, right? Yeah. Than it would have if I'd have just painted it with dark flesh, mid-tone flesh, highlight flesh of any color, right? Because those aren't indicative of how skin works. Skin is translucent. It shows all the meat and the fat and the blood and all the things going on underneath it. So the more you can do that and understand why you're doing it, then you can start to break the rules and do some really funky things. Like I've shown on stream painting skin and then glazing like blue over that normal like Caucasian skin. Yeah. And when you glaze a blue over it, you get something that looks like frost giant skin. Like it looks like, oh hell, that looks like it would be alive. As opposed to trying to paint a frost giant with dark blue, mid-tone blue, bright blue, which looks like they're wearing a blue pantsuit or something, like a blue costume. You paint it like real skin and then use that skin color as an undercoloring for putting blue over the top, and you can start doing some really fun things. So it just gives you a way to, I think, if you can introduce some fearlessness into your painting, it gives you a way to try out some new stuff, have a lot of fun, and come up with some crazy color combinations that you wouldn't normally find. How can you go about figuring out undertones if you don't have an eye for it? A lot of it would be like watching me and replicating what I do and what other painters do when they underpaint, and just see if you can get the same thing, and the process will come alive for you, and then you'll try other colors. It really is just a thing where you have to see it happen. Your brain has to wrap around the fact that it's blending colors the same way if you were to blend 2 or 3 colors together on your palette. It's doing that. It's just doing it after the paint is dry, right? And so if you can make that correlation and that light bulb goes off, then you can be like, oh, if I mix these two colors on the palette, I get this cool color. So it means if I paint one of those colors first and then glaze the other one over it, I'll get a sample of that color, and I can control how much of it I get. And it's a lot of fun doing it that way. How steep is the learning curve from going from painting with oils to acrylics, Smelly Fella says. I think it's super easy. The biggest problem you have when moving from oils to acrylics is the open time, of course. Acrylics start to cure very quickly, which for painting three-dimensional objects like what we're doing here is a big benefit because you can layer after layer after layer. It's a very small piece, so you don't have an hour to wait between layers, or a lot of people are less patient because you don't get to the finish line as quick with oils as you do with acrylics. But yeah, that's really it. Same amount of vibrancy is achievable, same color mixing. Anything you can do with oils, you can do with acrylics, except for live mixing for long periods of time. It's the only thing you can't do. And even with our Noosh medium that we made is a all water-based, non-toxic medium that you can add to acrylics that leave them open for like 10 to 15 minutes and longer. So you can do blending with them for much longer periods of time if you do that. It's just, now you're talking about adding a medium in with the paint, so it's a little more difficult. Your challenge is trying to light gold with not white light. Never looks right. Not seeing this, so seeing this might help. Your challenge is trying to highlight gold, but keeping away from white light. Yeah. Yep, definitely. Yeah, and I'll play around with this. The orange and the green underneath give us a warmth to the gold that makes me want to move it to a neutral white highlight, because the warmth will come from the underpinned shadows and reflections on it rather than the highlight. But using like a warm white is a really great way to do that. Our heavy warm white is fantastic for highlighting non-metallic gold, so we may use some of that. I usually use pale yellow and bright pale yellow. Right.
When are you going to get a stream or 10 where you make a historical diorama from scratch?
Oh, never. Never. Too much time.
It'd be kind of cool to paint something like that, though.
Yeah.
Like a military.
I mean, we've done like the Guardian
have...
and things like that where I did and I showed the process of how I would do something. All right. Mm-hmm. This is a diorama just done in miniature form. If you want to punch in on that, right? So we showed everything from that kind of, painting a shadow box backdrop. I painted two crows on a wire, and then I integrated the wire physically into the flat backdrop and kept the angle right so it looks like they're sitting on the right wire. So we talked a lot about the things that go into diorama building that make it so much fun, right? Getting things that you go from 2D to 3D, adding in background. I've got grass painted and then it becomes physical, city in the background, and doing, more canvas painterly things with the clouds and bringing that color forward. So we've done that before. This took a long time. This was month or so.
I was just about to ask you, how long did that thing
Probably
take?
about a month on stream.
I mean,
I painted this all on stream.
The background even, it was...
Yeah, the only thing I didn't do on stream was the bending of the wires and gluing them to get the angle right for the crows. Yeah. But we painted the crows and the clouds and everything on stream. It just takes so long that in the theme of what we want the stream to be is not something where it's like, oh God, he's doing the same thing for 4 days in a row. So we're trying to move it into something where it's a little bit more dynamic. It doesn't mean we wouldn't take a part of building something like that and show you how I put it together, how I plan it out, and then it just kind of gets painted off stream, or only a certain section of it get painted, something like that. Mug is like, I cry now. Christopher is going to put all the links in chat. Make sure you follow in. Check us out on monumenthobbies.com, where you can pick up all of your wonderful Pro Acryl and Pro Series brushes, all the stuff you see me using on stream today. Helps us out, helps us keep being able to do this stream at the level we do. Thank you so much for your support throughout the years for Monument Hobbies and everything we've made. Love having you here on the stream. If you're new here, please hit that follow button. If you're over on YouTube, hit that subscribe. Realize we do stream on Twitch and on YouTube simultaneously. The streams are always cataloged in the live tab over on YouTube once they're done, so you can go check it out if you came in late, or if you showed up early and left away and want to come back. Then you can go check out the rest of the stream over there. We also pull out some of the best outtakes and post them up so that you'll be able to catch some of the nuggets of information, hopefully, in bite-sized chunks. That'll be starting next week. Mm-hmm. As Ghost Hunter has noticed, go to our Discord. We have 5,296 people in the Discord who need to calm down and trust the damn process. It's so funny though, right? Because as beginning artists, as people who are wanting to do the best they possibly can at something they have fun with, art and creative process is one of the toughest ones to get your head around because it does take that faith, that level of faith that I can make it look messy now and I can tie it up at the end and make it look beautiful. And that's what I hope to pass off to you, because it helps you understand color and light, but do it in a realm that isn't every freaking brushstroke has to be perfect. You'll get there. If you choose to do every brushstroke perfect, you can grow into that. But you need to understand why the paint goes where you're putting it first. So do it messy and loose and fun and fast and get the job done and make it look great. And then develop your style under that. If it's smooth, if it's textured and fast and furious or whatever, but you'll always have great looking models. And that's what I'm trying to show you. You can do that. I'm not adding any steps. I'm just making the steps more fun. We use different colors than you normally would to turn out better process than you would normally get with the same steps, or even sometimes fewer. So a lot of fun to be had. Love to see you over in the, is that a Lionheart shirt? Oh my God, Timothy Thorne, do you know? This is, it turns out the hobby is like the elephant graveyard for old hardcore kids. So Timothy Thorne is like, Lionheart, what? The last time I was wearing my Judge shirt. My Judge shirt, and everybody's like, is that like hardcore Judge? I was like, bringing it down. This hammer I got. So thank everybody for hanging out. Make sure to stick around. Christopher's going to find somebody to raid, so we'd love to have this pass off. Show some love in the chat you wind up in. Hit the follow button over there too. Enjoy the hobby into your evening. Have a wonderful weekend. We stream live Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time here in Phoenix, Arizona, so we'd love to see you back here on Monday. Don't do anything we wouldn't do. We'll catch you on the other side. Adios.